red, white, and blue. But that doesn't mean that we had to use all the same plants. So for instance, here we have the blue-purple of the Scabiosa, which is a perennial. Here we have some Verbena bonariensis. And here, one of my favorite plants, Roseanne geranium, perennial geranium. Blooms from April till October. It's in all the designs I do. It's just a phenomenal, phenomenal plant. So these colors, you know, and then we have the red of the coleus, picks up the red of the salvia over there. And has anybody used this plant? I love it. It's Salvia argentea, or hobbit's foot sage. Doesn't it look like a hobbit's foot? And it's all very felty and fuzzy. It's really fun. So I think also there's some Gora in here, like some white of the whirling butterflies to pick up the white of the Nicotiana. So, you know, that's just where a color scheme can unite a grouping. And, you know, don't give up if you have shade. People think, oh, shade, I have nothing to do, it's shade, it's impatience. And then they hear downy mildew and they get nervous. Shade doesn't just have to be impatience. This was one of my window boxes, and my favorite color is green. And I think green and white feels so crisp. And these are impatiens, but I love, they're the rosebud impatiens. Aren't they beautiful? And I just love the caladium. I use that in a lot of my containers. It's a great shade plant for color, just like the coleus, you know, and it comes in pinks and whites and reds. And so here's another shade container. It's not boring. It's not what you would expect, right? But this is an upright fuchsia, Gartenmeister. Oftentimes we see the fuchsias in the hanging basket, but they have some beautiful upright fuchsias. So I just took that coral color and I mimicked it down here with these impatiens. These are the New Guinea impatiens. Then there's an asparagus fern, and then there's another little house plant. It's fun when you go to the garden center and you realize, oh my gosh, I don't have to stick in with the annuals. Find a plant you love and then go to the edible section, go to the perennial section and match it, and do it while you're there. Don't spend your money. Get your wagon. Get even a pot that's about the same size as your pot. These garden people are going to hate me. And then put stuff, arrange it there. That way you don't get it home and think, oh gosh, what am I going to do with this? Put it all together there. They're not going to matter about that. Don't despair if you have a small space. That is a tiny balcony. When the owners had me come out there, I thought, are you kidding me? It was so tiny. Their list was this long, and the balcony was about this big. They wanted a seating area. They wanted a tree to block the sun. They wanted a grill. They wanted, and I was like, are you serious? But that's the perfect place for containers. You know, if you put a few well-positioned containers in there, it actually makes the space feel bigger. We did get the birch tree in there. It was fun going up the elevator, but we got everything in there. I think these are actually perfect spots for container gardens. You know, a lot of your younger people in the urban areas, they want to grow food. They want their kids to know about food, but they don't have a garden like some of us do. So what do? You grow it in containers. There's nothing you can't grow in a container. Edibles in containers are going to be huge this year. You probably even see in a lot of your catalogs, they have ones that are specially made now for pots. They stay smaller. And don't despair if you have a large space. Just like the containers on the previous slide made the space feel bigger, these planters that we custom built make this massive space feel more intimate. This is a 2,200 square foot roof garden with 330-degree views of, that's the north end, and then we sweep around and we see the Bunker Hill Monument, and then we sweep around and we see the airport. So it's in the north end. It's massive views, beautiful, beautiful. But when I got there, it was this wide open space, and the wind whipped through, and it felt very cold and uninviting. So we built these planters to make rooms. And so this is the room that you're looking at over in here. We call it the Wine and Roses room, and all the plants are white because they go out at night because the sun sets over here. They have their wine. The white plants kind of glow, and they're fragrant. Then you come out, there's a fire pit area, there's a dining room, there's a breakfast nook. This is the breakfast nook. So you come out the door, and she's got lots of blues in her living room. So we brought the blue spruce out so that you could, you know, bring the colors out there. So you look out here over the airport. Over here is the dining area. But it's kind of like everybody seems to want great rooms in their houses these days. I kind of like having a little bit of mystery and kind of not seeing everything all at once. This deck was so exposed and so windy that we used the planters to actually make it feel more intimate. And even if you have a small little patio off your kitchen, but your neighbors are right there, put a planter there, you know, and plant something so that you have a little bit of a screen, a little bit of privacy. So let's just talk about your containers. You've made great containers. I know you all will. And you've kept them going spring, summer, fall. And then what happens in the winter? Do you give up? I have to say, I feel like that kid from The Sixth Sense where he saw dead people, only I see dead plants. It's kind of like, it makes me so sad to see these gorgeous container gardens, and then come fall, they all get nipped by the frost, and the people don't even take them out. These dead mums are just like gnarled skeletons down the driveway. It's like, just remove those already. And I know that, here's another beauty, you know, and the thing is, I think this is probably April. They had this in there and it sat there. Now, if we had used evergreens like we talked about, you could have an evergreen shrub in there, and even if you chose to do nothing but add some pine cones, wouldn't it look better than that? I mean, I understand you're tired, and I understand it gets cold, but even if you just cut the dead mums and the cabbages out and pile on some pine cones, do something, you know, but don't look at that, and nobody's fooled by that. I mean, winter can be long. I think we dodged a bullet this year. Can I get an amen? Yes. But last year, I mean, winter was long. If you have to look out your window at something November through March, don't you want it to look pretty? So for example, here we have all these dwarf shrubs. We just made a container out of them. This could stay like this year round. Or come spring, you can pop those in the ground. Why wouldn't you do something like that? Or something like this. I mean, this was another client, very contemporary. We just did very small dwarf evergreens, and we mulched the top with white rock. She loved it. It was better than looking at a bunch of dead mums, right? This is another client that we do. We do it all up. She likes the colonial Williamsburg theme, so we did that. But so it's fun to, I think winter is an overlooked season sometimes, and I love decorating for winter. So if you do something like this, though, the only caveat is once it starts to look bad, get rid of it, okay? Because I had to walk by that planter for like a month and a half, and I kept thinking, oh, for crying out loud, someone just empty that thing. Because they're not going to remember how good it was. They're going to remember how ugly it is. And I'm supposing if you have pots in town that you take care of, once they start to brown, get the stuff out. And that's why I love using branches in the winter. Because if you have branches, and this is what I've done even in my own pots, the brown greens, you take those out, you leave the branches. Throw some moss down, or don't throw anything down, or put some pine cones down. But that'll hold your place just when we're kind of in this iffy time, right? Of course, right now, I mean, maybe in the next week or so, I've actually just bought some hellebores myself, because I am speaking at the flower show next week, and I am doing a window box display. So it might be still a little bit too early, but there's a lot of very cold hardy perennials that you can use. So here, for instance, we have these hellebores, we have some lamium, and then just some pansy there. So look into when you're going shopping and you look at perennials, look for ones that are more cold hardy, you know, the ones that will do well in the spring. You can oftentimes plant those at the end of March. Here's another example. Just, you know, with the tulips and the daffodils and the parsley in there with the pansies. And I always love to throw something a little unexpected in. You know, just the nest there. I think I kind of freak out the birds, though, because they're like, what? They go up there, they peck at the eggs, and they don't know quite what's going on. But I really think that early spring can be a bit challenging. But if you look carefully, you'll be able to figure something out. And the most important thing about container gardening, I think, is that you have fun. I mean, this isn't mine, but I loved it. It was so great. And I said, look at how creative these people are. They're not taking themselves seriously. Do you know what that is? It's something dead turned upside down. That's the root ball. Isn't that hysterical? I just thought that was great. I mean, it's some kind of Halloween thing. They've got the black mondo grass down here. But they're not taking themselves too seriously. And the thing about container gardening, it's not a huge investment, unlike your gardens. So you do it this year. You didn't love it, don't do it next year. Do something else. Or even if you do it and you think, well, I could do it better, take it apart. You know, there's smaller commitments of time and energy and money, right? So I just think the most important thing is that you have fun. And I hope that, you know, I've given you some ideas for jaw-dropping, traffic stopping, get your neighbors talking. And as Laura mentioned, I do have a website. So it's thecapturedgarden.com. If you come up with containers that you particularly love or you're proud of, send a picture. I'd love to see what you guys come up with, and I'll be driving around town checking it out. But I also have a Facebook page, and I'm also on Instagram. And I just want to mention I do have a newsletter that just goes out quarterly. I just sent out the winter. So probably in a couple months we'll do spring. But if you want to sign up for that, there's a sign-up sheet here. You can also sign up through the website. And I do have some handouts for when we're all done. But I just want to thank you very much for having me. And I'm going to answer questions if anybody has any. Thank you.